Happy and energetic day, dear children. I welcome you all to the English Corner. By seeing the slide, you could have guessed what type of lesson we are going to learn, isn't it? Yes, we are going to learn the poem Mystery of the Talking Fan. What is it, dear? Mystery of the Talking Fan. First of all, you before reading the poem, is there a ceiling fan in the room where you are sitting now? Yes, definitely. Everybody's house, there will be a ceiling fan, not one ceiling fan. In each and every room, there will be minimum of one. If the hall is bigger, then we will have two to four fans. Even in our classroom, we have four fans, isn't it? So, is the fan quiet or noisy? The fan will be quiet. Most of the times, the fan will be quiet. If it is noisy, then you may be sure it is a distant relative of the talking fan in the poem which you are going to read. Now, if the fan is noisy, then this poem will be the best suitable poem for you and for your fan. Right? Shall we enter into the poem? Right. Once there was a talking fan. So the author is writing about the talking fan. He was working together, it seems. At that time, the fan was making so much of noise. So the fan was making so much of noise, which is a disturbance to his work. So he started writing a poem. Once there was a talking fan. Electrical his chatter. Chatter means what? Only humans will chatter. Don't be a chatterbox. Be silent. All that we will scold, isn't it? Chatter means always we used to talk. So electrical his chatter. Here a small grammar portion is included in this. That is called personification. Right? Fan is, see, I'll explain this, then I'll go to the grammar part, right? Electrical his chatter. The poem opens with the personification of the fan being given a human attribute. So, what is a human attribute is talking. Only humans can talk. Even animals are all talking, but we cannot understand. The same way here, the author is giving a human ability of talking to the fan. Okay, ceiling fan. So, the poet gives a human attribute of talking to the ceiling fan. That is word called chatter. The poet calls the fan's noise as electrical chatter. Right? We are just talking, chatting, but the fan is talking, isn't it? That is called as electrical chatter. At the end of this session, we will see about personification and some example of personification. Right, dear? So, here the poem opens with the personification of a fan being given the human attribute such as the ability to talk and chatter. The poet calls the fan's noise an electrical chatter. Is it clear? Electrical chatter? Right. I couldn't quite hear what he said. Again, one more time. I couldn't quite hear what he said. So, I couldn't hear what the fan is saying, right? I couldn't hear what the fan is saying in his own electrical language. And I hope it doesn't matter. So it is not a matter of hearing what it is saying, right? Because one day somebody oiled. That means why the fan is making sound? Anybody knows the answer? Yes, it is in need of oil, right? So, It is in need of oil. The oil is not there, so the friction is not proper. It is making sound. Because one day somebody oiled in the sense somebody poured oil in fan, so it stopped that sound. His little whirling motor, whirling is rotating, his little rotating motor, and all the mystery was spoiled. If it is rotating with a noise, then only mystery was there. If it was silent, then no mystery, isn't it? And all the mystery was spoiled. He ran as still as water. So here, as still as is similes, right? So as still, in the sense, it was quiet and calm. The water, when it is full in the pot, it will not make noise. The same way, the fan, when it is oiled, it is not making noise, right? So he ran in the sense the fan rotates as still as water, as calm as the stagnant water, right? So this is what is a poem in your book, Mystery of the Talking Fan. Is there a ceiling fan in the room where you are sitting now? Is the fan quiet or noisy? If it is noisy, you may be sure it is a distant relative of the talking fan in the poem which you are going to read, right? So, 3 times we'll read the poem, and if you have any doubts, we will sort it out. The author of the poem is Maude Rubin, right? The author of the poem is Maude Rubin. Once there was a talking fan. Electrical his chatter. I couldn't quite hear what he said, and I hope it doesn't matter because one day somebody oiled his little whirling motor and all the mystery was spoiled. He ran as still as water. Again, dear, once there was a talking fan. What is it? Once there was a talking fan. Electrical his chatter. I couldn't quite hear what he said, and I hope it doesn't matter because one day somebody oiled his little whirling motor, and as all the mystery was spoiled, he ran as still as water. Maude Rubin, right? So, shall we move to the next slide? Now we came to the summary of the poem, Mystery of the Talking Fan. So, the poem beautifully captures the moment of much familiar objects around us, which in today's time are a very essential part of our existence. The poem discusses the movement of a ceiling fan. The poet discusses the sound made by the ceiling fan, comparing it to human chatter, though unknown and incomprehensible. See, the poem beautifully captures the moment of the much familiar object around us. What is a familiar object around us? The fan, ceiling fan, right? Today's time, a very essential part of our existence. Without fan, can any one of you sit in hall? No chance at all. First, when you enter into the room, your hand will go to the switch only, right? So when you switched on, then only you will come and sit. The poem discusses the movement of a ceiling fan. The poet discusses the sound made by the ceiling fan, comparing it to the human chatter. So here I said personification, right? Though unknown and incomprehensible. So what is the paragraph? What ceiling fan said? Nothing. We don't know anything, right? It's all unknown. The poet closely observes the movement of the ceiling fan, calling it noise chatter. The poet closely observes the movement of the ceiling fan, calling it noise chatter. An explanation of the poem is the poem opens with the personification of the fan, right? Giving human attribute such as ability to talk and chatter. The poet calls the fan's noise an electrical chatter. The poet is unable to comprehend what exactly it means, and before the poet could succeed in decoding the mystery, actually the poet tried to understand the coding of that fan, but before decoding the mystery, somebody oiled the motor. Ever since, it functioned in a smooth manner that no noise could be heard. So the talking fan fell very silent, right? So working with the poem, this is a question and answers, book back answers. We'll discuss that and you can write on your own. Question number 1. Fans don't talk, but it is possible to imagine that they do. What is it then that sounds like the fan's chatter? Actually, the noise created by the fan's motor due to lack of oiling was being compared to the fan's chatter. The noise created by the fan's motor due to the lack of oiling was being compared to the fan's chatter. Complete the following sentence. First one is, the chatter is electrical because the fan functions on an electrical motor and the attention to my chatter, noise, or otherwise noise, was being produced by its motor. So the chatter is electrical. The chatter is electrical because the fan functions on an electrical motor. A small motor will be there on the fan. And the attention to my chatter, noise was being produced by its motor. Okay. Next is, it is mysterious because the poet was unable to comprehend what the fan was saying. Okay, that was the second answer. It is mysterious because the poet was unable to comprehend what the fan was saying. Right? So, question number 3 is, what do you think the talking fan was demanding? What the talking fan was demanding? The talking fan seems to be demanding they need some oiling to some attention. It was demanding oiling. The moment it was oiled, it fell silent. Right? So what is needed actually? Oil is needed. What do you think the talking fan was demanding? The talking fan seems to be demanding they need some oiling to some attention. So it was demanding oiling. The moment it was oiled, it fell silent. Next question is, how does an electric fan manage to throw so much air when it is switched on? An electric fan comprises of 3 blades and a whirling motor. The moment it is switched on, the motor starts and begins to rotate, forcing the blades to move in a circular movement. This generates lot of pressure which forces the air downwards in all directions. Very important question. An electric fan comprises of 3 blades and a whirling motor. The moment it is switched on, the motor starts and begins to rotate, forcing the blades to move in circular movement. This generate lot of pressure which forced the air downwards in